What is going on, guys? MJ2005 Gundam here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the real grade Oowashi Akatsuki Gundam from Gundam Seed Destiny. Bequeathed unto Kagali Yula Atha by her late father, it serves as the Orb Union's secret flagship unit, clad in the Yatano Kagami armor, and equipped with the Oowashi pack for atmospheric flight. While not literally costing as much as 20 high-grade M1 Strays like it did in the lore with actual mobile suits, this 8,000 yen real grade comes in a jumbo box containing 14 runners, an action base 7, a moderately sized decal sheet, and a correction instruction sheet. Besides still trying to wrap my head around the box size and Bandai needing to get it together as it's their third instruction correction sheet in 2 months of releases, the build itself is the interesting part. It uses the real grade Freedom Gundam GCP's philosophy of reusing the old arm, leg, and waist frame parts of the real grade Strike while constructing new chest, shoulder, and ankle frame parts. Sadly, since I haven't built any variants of the original real grade Strike as of yet, I can't tell you how different the build feels comparatively, but what is for certain is how it, like the GCP Freedom, is new and old mashed into one. On another note, the parts are heavily undergated, which would effectively draw out the build time, but result in a cleaner final product. Not that you could do much to it anyway between the gold chrome and copper gold, flat copper gold, gloss black and white, and metallic injection red pieces, so all that can be done is snipping off the parts and going through the straightforward but lengthy and partially old school real grade build. I would advise caution around the tricky shoulders and small head parts, but I find the difficulty to be generally slightly above average, except for how the parts constantly tried to eat my gloves. Now, aesthetics is definitely where the real grade Akatsuki shines, and I mean that quite literally. I mean, having just listed off the various specially treated plastics, the only thing that's dull about this kit is the grey frame. The rest of the plastics, especially the two-toned gold, ensures that no part of this kit is without any bling, but the flat copper gold on the vents and leg thrusters does give it a nice flat contrast and ensures that you'd only go 95% blind instead of the full 100%. Proportions are properly stylized, giving it a sharp and hefty silhouette, especially towards the legs, while color separation has been utilized widely to replicate as much detail in plastic as possible, namely with the use of perforated armor panels for the thruster and venting details, as well as parts of the frame to peek out and provide extra grey accents, on top of providing the eyes and head sensors using plastic pieces as well, but you can always use the decals for extra shine. However, decals is one issue that the gold chrome body brings up, as the sticker decals that Bandai provided here have a matte finish to them, so besides the potential border issues you'd get while using them on normal plastics, they will dull the spots where they are placed onto, ruining the aesthetic cohesion. By extension, the kit is quite detailed, but you can't come to appreciate it all since the reflections on the chrome armor would more often than not overpower them, and there's nothing you can do to bring them out either. I guess the graded detail on the shoulders and forearms are an attempt to compensate for that, but I'm not personally fond of it. As for nut marks, most of the gold-plated armor is undergated, so there are still some spots that use traditional gates. Thankfully, the plastic underneath the coating is yellow like parts of the real grade Fennex, so they are not too noticeable. Conversely, those on the other plastics did not get nearly as much attention, as there are still some terrible nut marks you can do nothing about on the backs of the knees and the feet due to their special finishes. Needless to say, a straight build is the best way to display the RG Akatsuki, since the sharp silhouettes and various special plastics do pull their weight. However, its strength is also its biggest weakness, especially for people who do want to go further or make their own custom paint scheme. But hey, that means less working time for me. Articulation wise, the head is on a double hinged ball jointed neck, and thanks to the construction and simple collar, it should be able to move widely without much restriction. The shoulders can be tucked out for maximum forward and upward swiveling, while also maximizing the arm raise after moving the shoulder armor. The arms can also rotate easily, and there's an opening shoulder panel to reveal extra venting. There's bicep swivel, double jointed elbows with slight armor separation, and a slightly hinged ball jointed wrist. The abs can crunch forward on 2 joints, which unlocks the rear thruster movement, and there's a slight sideways crunch, and a full waist rotation. All of the skirts are movable on newly molded ball joints, making splits towards every direction not an issue to execute if you really wanted to. The entire waist can also skew front to back, and the weapon holsters can rotate. There's a thigh swivel, double jointed knee with armor separation, a movable side booster, ball jointed ankle armor, and hinged peg jointed feet, with the movable toes, providing the access for ankle tilts. Articulation of the real grade Akatsuki is great on the whole, as expected of a real grade kit, but the bigger concern is the structural integrity. While it feels undeniably solid when the kit is freshly built, the legs only get rapidly worse the more you handle it. Honestly, stop sticking with the lore, Bandai. Moreover, it's pretty easy to push past the skirt's range limits despite their solidity. In terms of accessories, those start with a pair of fists, holding hands, open palms, and a right side trigger finger hand, all of which are newly molded. On top of that, the cockpit hatch can be opened to reveal a blank panel, which makes it rather redundant, and I wish they would have reused the seats of the real grade Strike as well. As for weapons, it's basically the generic Gundam loadout. The Hyakurai beam rifle is a standard looking but chunkier rifle that sandwiches into the trigger finger hand for use, or slides into the weapon holster for secure storage. Next is the prototype twin beam saber. Typically used as a double-ended saber, it sandwiches into the hand for use with the SB9 beams, or slides onto the other weapon holster for storage when not in use. Additionally, on top of the grip being able to separate at the middle for dual wielding, at the cost of having weird looking pommels due to how they combine, it can also be plugged into the rifle housing to be used as a bayonet. For defense, the Type 71 prototype defensive shield is provided, featuring a ball-jointed grip and mount, with the latter being foldable as well. It slides into the hand and plugs onto the elbow for the Akatsuki's use. Unfortunately, it does clash quite heavily with the shoulder armor, but trying to use it by only either attachment would lead to unsatisfactory results. Lastly, there's the Oowashi pack. Looking like a golden version of a suspiciously familiar booster, its jet-like silhouette and source design is replicated with intricate and thin part separation, while being enhanced by the different golds and molded finishes. On top of that, the canopy can open up to reveal some internal detail, and while no landing gear is provided, it can be propped up with an average action base for separate display. To mount it onto the Akatsuki, the canopy extends before folding back on a hinge and sleeve clip joint, while the arms are untapped from the fuselage and the cannons are rotated, before the unit plugs onto the Gundam's back. The result is the Oowashi Akatsuki Gundam, and needless to say, the wingspan and rear-facing bulk highly enhances its overall silhouette, providing more presence if the base golden body isn't enough already. Moreover, the main thrusters are adjustable, and the wings can rotate, flap, and close for extra adjustability. On top of that, the Type 73F Kai high-energy beam cannons can be swung forward on two ball joints and a bend, while they themselves extend to deploy the double-jointed foldable handles that slide into the holding hands for gripping, adding extra firepower to the Akatsuki Gundam while also being laterally adjustable if needed. Naturally, being a strike-based unit, other real-grade strike-compatible backpacks are usable on the real-grade Akatsuki, but even though the kit can sorta handle its weight when it was fresh, the rapid deterioration of the hip joints will make the task demonstrably tough, which is where the included band-aid, known as the Action Base 7, provides the kit support in all types of displays by plugging into a hidden port on the Akatsuki's back. Besides the original fists and shoulder frame parts, the rest of the original real grade Strike's frame and grey pieces were left over. Sure, they can function as backups, but are pretty useless as they are. To wrap this up swiftly, I think the real grade Akatsuki is an expensive letdown. To speak of it positively, the build isn't exactly mentally straining to go through, while the final results are mostly clean thanks to the heavy use of undergates. Articulation and weapon implementation are very good, and a lot of the ease is thanks to the newly molded fixed posing hands. And while not everyone can appreciate that it's so gold you can do your makeup in it while admiring closely, the various shades of gold and special finish plastics culminates in an aesthetic that matches its luxury price tag. However, for that price, you're getting a kit that is equivalent to fitting a modern Lamborghini with an engine from 1886, and there's no hypocrisy in dunking on this kit while praising the real grade Freedom GCP. Both of them reuse the same frame sections and have leg issues, but the latter was only able to get away with it because it was a semi-redo of an existing kit, while the real grade Akatsuki is a completely new design in the line that could have been built from the ground up, but instead chose to follow canon in the worst way possible. Yet Bandai expects it to handle even heavier equipment when it crumbles under its own body weight over time. And no, including a third leg with a massive fuss that comes out his ass and having aftermarket fixes don't make it justifiable, especially at this price. If all you're after is an updated looking Akatsuki Gundam in the scale, then this satisfies that to the nines. But even then, being responsible with it is still not enough to save it from its 13-year-old issues. And that's all for me. Thank you for watching, drop a like and comment if you did enjoy the video, subscribe for more content like this, and feel free to follow me on social media with the links down below. That said, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out guys, bye bye.